Okay, so let's try with another episode of Oplotki podcast. Welcome, all the listeners. And it's quite weird to me to speak to you in English, but since you've asked, there you go. So today I've got a welcomed guest, somebody whom I already did one episode in Polish. So in case you're listening that and you speak Polish, you can also go back to our conversation in Polish. But in case you only speak English, you still won't miss some important details. Today, I've got Elena Pawęta here with us, who is a specialist in communication skills. Oh, but I'll cut it out. I'll let Elena introduce herself, but because she's going to do that the best. Hello, Elena.
Hi, Agnieszka. Thanks for having me again. I am a communication coach and I'm assistant professor at Warsaw University of Economics. My topics of interest are entrepreneurship and business. And I am organizing TEDx events in Poland. Currently, my project is TEDxWarsawWomen conference.
So that's a huge thing. And, I introduced you here in our podcast, not without a reason, because one might think, okay, what's a handmade got with, communication skills and TEDx? And what is it all about? Why are you, Agnieszka, inviting Helena here? And seemingly that's nothing in common. But to be honest, that's got everything in common. It seems to me that many of handmade artists, especially those that we introduced in last episodes, like really niched down artists, they haven't got the skill of communicating the value they provide. One might think, okay, some knitting or handmade, I don't know, crochet things. What's got it for us, for, human beings? Like, what's in it to share? And that's only thing that those artists think. But once they possess those communication skills and they can kind of tell the story of the value they provide, how they make us relaxed, how they carry on the tradition and captured in this handmade, like passed on from generation to generation, even Polish tradition or tradition of handmade. That's totally different perspective. And once I started working on those communication skills, or like trying to teach myself how to talk about handmade and the idea of meeting people during doing those handmade workshops, everything changed for me. And I know that you're a specialist in communication, and you probably have many ideas how those skills could be improved, especially for people who have those skills, like handmade skills, but not necessarily have the skills to talk about it. Maybe you've got some tips and tricks how to talk about such values.
Yes, this is very important to talk in to to show value to our audience. First of all, whom we are talking to. So when we are speaking about our mm, products, yes, we are selling something or we are advertising something. So first of all, we need to focus on who we are talking to. Yeah, who is the person on the other side, who is buying from us, who is interested in our products, and then it will be much easier. So I would not go into preparing presentations, writing them down and learning by heart. This is not what it's all about. It's all about being natural, being yourself. But first of all, uh, know whom you're talking to, and then you can speak in terms of what do they need, what do they want. Yeah, so first, who is on the other side, what is their, what are their wants, what are their needs, and then always show them the benefits. Yeah, so when we are talking about our product, don't say that my product is the best. Say my product can give you this value. If you buy my product, then the benefit for you will be this and that.
Yeah, exactly. That's really important tip, especially now before, Christmas time when we're thinking about ideas for gifts and presents. And especially now when we're kind of in the middle of kind of lockdown, right? We never know whether it's going to be like 100% lockdown or just like now, like semi lockdown. We think about presents, gifts, and handmade seems to be more accurate gift than ever. We could actually buy it online, we don't have to leave the house, and we could have something prepared, with this consciousness of preparing something special or maybe personalized with a name on it or something like that. And I always tell our handmade artists in our community that now it's the time, now it's perfect timing to talk about what you do, the value you provide, the things you can create for others, and sharing those things. But it's really important what you said. Thinking about the audience that's going to be listening is a key thing. Whom we are talking to is really important. And I'll try to look back to what we've been talking about in our Polish episode, about how did it happen that you actually provide this kind of teachings online. I know that you haven't been doing that, before COVID, but now you're teaching online, you're doing your own podcast. So there's a lot of things you're doing online.
Yeah. So it was caused by this lockdown and by the whole year 2020. Everything that happened led to me to finally do what I was planning to do for some time. I was planning to do the podcast. I was planning to start my online course. Those ideas were following me for some time, but because I was so busy, I did not have time for this, because when I was training, I was doing trainings, I was traveling, so I was going to different cities, to different countries. And now with the every, with university that moved online, with a conference I organized that moved online, with the trainings that moved online, I have much more space for this creativity. And of course it is a new world for me because I did not do this before, but I'm very grateful for this program, this online MBA that we are in, which is very helpful in going step by step and in learning this online business.
Yeah, it's so precious that you've mentioned that, that we're able to have somebody to lead the way. We can kind of focus on the area that we're actually good at, and then we have somebody who can like translate how we should provide this knowledge to our students, to people we work with. And then it's way easier for us to kind of structure it down into simple steps and how to introduce what we know into the people who want to get to know that. That's really precious that you mentioned that. I don't want to keep you long because, as we mentioned, we already, had the recording of this Polish episode. But here, I just wanted to ask you with English, like about this intro of yours as well, because you're not Polish. But you live in Poland and you speak in Polish there, obviously, right? But you're training in English. Also, your podcast, Ideas and Leaders, which you have to listen to, is in English. And it's like, for me, it's unimaginable how many like different, ideas and phrases you have to have in your mind, but still you're able to do it online and kind of, spread this knowledge in 3 languages in your head. How does it work with you? Communication skills like a pro, that's for that's one thing for sure, but how does it work for you?
Yeah, with languages it is tricky because when you speak one language and work in one language, then you start thinking in this language, then you need some time to switch from one to another.
Yeah.
But I would say that now I'm I'm working in both Polish and English. My native language is Russia. I'm originally Russian. I'm originally from St. Petersburg, and I don't speak this language much. So only with my family, when I speak with my sister, but I don't work in this language. Although I would love to. I would love to, and this is my plan. This is one of my two things on my to-do list is to do some trainings in Russian, because this is my language, and I would love to keep it alive in my head. And yes, I'm working mostly in English because I have a big international network, because I was involved in several international organizations. So first of all, I'm a TEDx organizer. So I have a network of TEDx organizers all over the world. Then I'm a member of Toastmasters International Organization. This is a network of clubs where people practice public speaking and leadership, which is also great. Both of those organizations are non-profit, and both of them are aimed at education, communication, so very similar. And when I was doing my business choices, which language to use, I decided that I will go with English because I have very wide international network. And for example, only in Poland or only in Russia, I don't have such a huge network, but internationally I do. That's why I'm working mostly in English, but also in the other two languages as well.
Well, that's really great. And I also ask this question because I get a lot of, especially Polish handmade artists that actually know that they need to possess other skills in order to promote what they do, their art, or get to better clients. It's also in this handmade world that the currency exchange is great for us, because when we produce in Poland and sell abroad, for example in euros or dollars, there's always better paying off with the pricing. So we have many handmade artists who kind of get knowledge from abroad. So in a way, they have to switch to English in order to get those skills. And I remember that once when we had this mastermind with our buddies from this handmade businesses, we started speaking in English and we didn't even notice when it happened. It's like we started masterminding in Polish, but then we started speaking like, oh, there's this funnel, like, and we started using those, business terms. Did you also notice that when you entered this online MBA, that it's kind of, different language that you enter, like the zone of those, funnels and GDPRs and all the all those. What do you recommend for people in order not to get lost in this communication? Like, it's nearly switching the language, but it's not, right?
Yeah. So with the online business, I think that the same as you have to learn the new language step by step. You need to start with the basics and then slowly go further. Then you need to the same with the online business. You have to learn it step by step. There is a different language. There are different tools. But also there is another thing, which is similar with learning a language, because when you learn a new language, you need to practice. Yeah. When I moved to Poland, I learned I did not speak Polish at all. I learned Polish in half a year, in 6 months. After 6 months, I was already speaking.
Oh, wow.
And this happened only because of a practice, because I lived in this environment. I was speaking with people every day, and it helped me. And the same with online business. I think that you cannot learn online business from books. You just have to do it. Yes, you have to try, do the first course, do the first webinar, even if it is not the best one, but just step by step, learn on your own mistakes, or also have a coach, have a program, enroll in the program, learn from someone else's mistakes, which is better. And and just step by step, learning by doing. This is the great method for doing it.
Yeah, that's so precious that you mentioned that. Yeah, I don't want to keep you longer. So, yeah, sorry for that episode being so short. But if you want some more, you have to switch to Polish. But there's this last thing that I wanted to ask you, because we obviously met in this online MBA. And for me, it will always be this precious space where I have this privilege to meet people from totally different, like business worlds than mine. So we wouldn't have even met if we weren't in the same online MBA by Sigrun. mm, Maybe you have some tips or advice for people who are thinking, okay, there was this lockdown, maybe my business just dropped down, maybe there's something bad happened to my spouse because he was in having a restaurant and now they are nearly dead. What would you say to those people? Because I know that your business also went into this crash mode, like coaching business face to face, but you didn't, break down. You just used this opportunity. You started your own podcast, which was this idea that you pushed aside because there was never time for that. What would you advise to those people? How to push oneself to, do something instead of, worrying what will happen next?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend to do something, not just to worry. And also, yeah, we're having a lot of issues right now, and health issues and business issues, and we're worrying a lot. So there is a very nice book by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And this is one of my favorite books. I really recommend it to anyone. And one of the principles in this book is that live in day-tight compartments. So only think, don't worry about what is going to be in a week, in a year, in 10 years. Just focus on what you have to do today, how you will do it, and do this to the best of your abilities. Yes, and the best
Yeah,
of your abilities is not always the best.
yeah,
Best of your abilities is the best you can do this day. Sometimes you cannot do much, sometimes you can do more. And I would live in these day-tight compartments, and I would also advise to think, what can we do in these day-tight compartments? Yeah. So if we have had a business which is not working anymore, if we had a restaurant, as you said, or a handmade business, or anything else, coaching business, think what opportunities it gives you, this knowledge. Yeah, how can you move it online? And now I can see that a lot of businesses are moving online. In our online MBA, there are all kinds of businesses you can imagine. Yeah,
yeah,
so working with dogs, pain relief, physiotherapy, yoga, dancing. I
yeah,
can see that a lot of ideas are you can put them online and you can
yeah.
sell them. So yeah, I would recommend to focus on the short term and to see what you can do and what is your creative solution.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much for today. I'm really glad that we've made it with recording this podcast. I bet it's going to be really helpful to many of our listeners. So thank you for today. And I hope that you will also continue with your podcast, which I'm listening to, Ideas and Leaders. You also have to listen to that. We're going to link that down in the show notes. So I hope you're going to visit Elena's podcast. And thank you for today, Elena. I hope we also meet online.
Yeah, thank you, Agnieszka, for the invitation. See you online.